So I was sitting there scrolling through Twitter or X the other day, and I just scrolling through the feed, and I came across a fighting, and so there was two gals fighting back and forth. Well, it wasn't really much of a fight. There was one lady that was obviously beating up the other lady, and so come to find out, a little bit more background behind that was the one that was getting beat up refer to the other one in a racial slur might have been inappropriate. So this lady comes up and beats the other one's butt for that reason. So, you go and you put yourself in a potential to go to jail for quite a few years. And that's when you realize, those belief systems that you hold, you're shackled and chained to. Now, I don't think that level of escalation was warranted for this situation, but the other person obviously felt like it was, so they went through and proceeded through their actions. She had a limiting belief, or she not a limiting belief. She had a belief. That's what she needed to do in that situation. You have other limiting beliefs that are either cultural, scientific, that are placed upon us. You look back into the 50s, you have this guy named Roger Bannister. He ran the first 4 miles documented in history under 4 minutes. Before then, it was widely held belief between scientists, physicists, medical doctors that was an impossible task. So all the way up until 1950s, it was never done, or at least never documented properly, till that happened. Once Bannister broke that record, people fell in line right behind him. Now, recorded to this date, there's thousands of people that broke that record. That was a limiting belief that was placed upon all of society. Once one person did that, others fell suit behind and realized that, yeah, it is possible. So now I feed back into my own life. What are the limiting beliefs that I held when I was younger growing up that held me back? I remember having a conversation with my father and watching shows about aircraft, F-16s flying by, and I'm like, that would be a cool thing to do. And I was like, well, maybe I want to do that. So I told my dad. And then he says, oh, you got to get a degree. You got to get your pilot's wing. You got to go through ground school. And all these barriers that was put in front of me and what I needed to do in order to do that. I looked at all that. It's like, there's no way I can do that. So I never tried. I take the same thing, look at my niece. She's doing softball right now. She's about ready to move up into the big kids or the high school. And she takes a look at it and she has this perception, oh, it's so tough. It's so tough. There's no way I can do it. It's going to be too hard. So she doesn't even try. And come to think about it, we all had things that we didn't do, all because we had this limiting belief that we couldn't do it. So come to think about it, I never accomplished anything that I didn't believe I can do. Now, even though we're chained and shackled to these belief systems, it doesn't mean all of these beliefs are bad. Some of these beliefs are good. Like if you believe, that you not to bear false witness, that's a good belief system to have. You don't lie, you don't cheat, you don't steal, you don't do things that are against your conscience that you believe are good and that are good. So like stealing, you have an inherent belief that stealing is bad, so you don't do it. So limiting beliefs and being chained and shackled to those are neither positive or they're negative. So there's a bunch of positive ones, But then you turn around and you have those negative ones, and you got to realize that whether if those negative beliefs are worth your while or not, and you have to go through and restructure that. So how do you go through and you determine if a belief is obviously good or bad for you? I was always afraid of heights growing up and never really tried anything outside of the norm that wasn't a little cushion, that wasn't beyond my confidence level. And I take a look at back now. I did rock climbing probably a year ago, where we scaled, I think it was about 40-foot wall, and I did it without hesitation. And why? Because it was no longer a fear that I had or a limiting belief. It's like, oh, you see the big wall, you're going to fall down, you're going to hurt yourself. But, I had all that rock climber gear, and I had backup that gave me that confidence in order to scale that wall. That's kind of why they put you through that when you go into the service. If you've ever been in the military, think about going in the military, or already been through the military, they put you through things, little baby steps at a time. That they don't sit there and throw you directly to the wolves and tell you to go run 8 miles and then turn around and do the crucible at the same time. They don't do that right away, because from the onset and when you're beginning, that seems impossible to some. You have to build up that confidence as you go along. So it's a little slow day by day. You might start off running a half a mile. Well, depending on your skill level or how good a shape you're in, that could be really easy, or that could be kind of challenging. And that's kind of the point. You don't go straight into things and go 100% straight into it without doing those little baby steps along the way. So like when we were in the Marine Corps, we started off with a half a mile, and then we slowly build up to a mile. And then you slowly build up until you're 5-6 miles at a time. They don't do it overnight. They do a lot overnight. Like once you get there, you get in, you hit the fan, and it just hits you real hard, just with the mental stuff. But like the athletic stuff, they build you up over time. They kind of break you down too. So that's kind of the breakdown and build up process that they do. They break down your mental and physical, and they erase those limiting beliefs, and then they slowly build up to where you can do what they need you to do. It's like they have the obstacle course. They renamed it the confidence course for a reason. You take a look at it, you're like, oh, that. Some might think it's an easy obstacle course. Some might find challenging. You have a wider range of people. And then you go through that obstacle course or that confidence course. Once you get done, you're just like, oh, I went through that. And you realize that it's a lot easier than what you thought it was going to be. So the message of today really is to limit those beliefs that are negative, not to be shackled and chained to those beliefs that are not good for you to keep and hold around. Now, we all do it. There's stuff that I have to overcome. There's stuff that everybody else has to overcome. And it's not different between every single individual. I'm sure Elon Musk, he has his own limiting belief systems. You're not going to, but he's going to go and follow through and do what he needs to do. So when it comes to your limiting belief system, analyze them, realize if they're serving a good purpose or not. If they're not, slowly break them down and eliminate those out of your life that are no longer warranted or no longer needed. So this is Brunky Check. Check it out. If you like this content of this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, And follow me on Twitter. I got a Twitter, Brunky Tech, or it's X. All right. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful day.